XRP is about to make a dent in the universe. We also hear from Verson, and we got a clip about MasterCard and XRP Ledger. We're going to get into all of this news and so much more. This is going to blow your mind. Let's just jump right in. It's so good to see you guys. Let's go.
XRP and Ripple will be the connective tissue between banks and blockchain. Now, what I'm sharing with you is my opinion, my research. There's a reason why it's my #1 investment. Is what a lot of people don't understand is when the Clarity Act gets passed, I don't believe that you're going to see massive price appreciation. And I'm okay being wrong. I need you to understand at a deep level, I came from the banking sector, that is the first massive step, giving banks clarity and clear rules of the road to operate in blockchain and cryptocurrency. So it's the first step, the first massive catalyst, showing you this is not conspiracy anymore. This is real. And I believe companies, it's not a zero-sum game. Like Ripple, their technology XRP, Monica Long said it herself, will be the connective tissue between banks and blockchain. Don't believe the hype and hopium. Look at the longevity, the stability, and the rewiring of the old banking system. Stay patient. Your time will come. Warriors!
All right, let me go ahead and show you this. Verson, XRP matters when you understand what connects legacy financial rails and its emerging settlement networks, moving value across borders in real time. This is infrastructure, and infrastructure determines where value concentrates. Let's go ahead and play this.
To a commodity-based system. Going back to a commodity-based system, they're clearly working on bypassing the US dollar, the corrupt infrastructure of the US system, through new blockchain-based technologies, payment systems. And I did send you the document. I don't know if you got a chance to look at it, but my brother and I have certainly uncovered a lot of documents that are widespread adoption of a digital asset, specifically called XRP, which is a cross-border remittance tool. And there's a company behind that called Ripple. Their partnerships with all these institutions seem to be part of a broader plan to build the rails and to move away from the dollar as well. So what's your take on digital assets, specifically XRP, if you had a chance to look at them, and how this ties into the shifting global financial landscape and infrastructure?
Well, I have to say, as I've gone along in this process and tried to educate myself a little bit more about this quantum blockchain landscape that we have sort of burgeoning and emerging around the world, I'm heartily encouraged by a lot of the intercooperative agreements that are happening, and XRP happens to be at the center of a great deal of them. BRICS Pay rolled out just recently, I believe, and we have a website, I believe it's brics-pay.com for those that are in the Western world nations, where you can actually go and reference how the BRICS nations are looking at aligning their financial ledgers and their financial transaction capabilities. And XRP, I think, would have to be, along with other potential, crypto commodities as we go forward, I think that would have to be one of the underpinnings for a cross-border facilitation network. Additionally, I think it's worth highlighting that the SEC here in the United States ruled recently that the XRP cryptocurrency project is not a security. So it's not subject to the same styles of regulations and the same domestic restrictions when we talk about financial transactional capability here. So I think we're looking at the build out, quite frankly, through XRP, maybe as a template, but certainly through the XRP currently, for a cross-border system of minute-to-minute transactional capability that is secured. DLT and blockchain, we know, are going to have to be the way of the future. Because those are the only methodologies we're aware of, I think, at this point, or that I'm aware of, Verson, that actually offer true security in the digital landscape. And that's something that is so important moving forward. The ability to money launder, the ability to mask transactions, to shift things around, to essentially misdirect within the financial transaction process itself is how we managed to get the U.S. State Department in 87 countries funding terrorism groups. And some of those groups would come back to the same relevant geopolitics that we have going on in today's day and time right here, right now. So looking at the reduction and the elimination eventually of the capability to do that, I think is paramount and absolutely crucial if we're going to achieve anything around the idea of free and fair trade in the world. There have been countries in the world that have taken advantage of other countries for hundreds of years, and those other countries have been taken advantage of for 100 years. There's a huge trust, or for hundreds of years. So there's a huge trust gradient and a great deal of distance, I think, to make up, and instilling security and also convenience in that process is one of the main ways I'm viewing the rebuilding of that trust.
I think when you take a look at the current financial system that we have, people don't trust what the government, or what bankers are doing behind the scenes. There's a lot of misuse, there's a lot of fraud, there's a lot of damage being done to society. And the way that you solve that is by putting every transactions on blockchain ledgers. Now, there is a conversation about privacy to be had there, but there is no other financial system that we are moving to. We know it is blockchain and crypto. The only thing that has been holding this transformation back is regulation. And the US is trying to position themselves to get it done. The real question is, will we be able to get over these last few hurdles and really help set the stage for a new future where AI and blockchain will be working together to empower a new financial future that people can trust? Now let's go ahead and move to this new MasterCard and XRP ledger. TradeFi and Web3 just leveled up. Adelia Tortman from XRPO Commons and Christian Rao from MasterCard are talking about direct settlement in RLUSD on MasterCard rails. They do about $9 trillion a year in payments, and MasterCard could be looking to a company like Ripple, RLUSD, and the XRP ledger to help settle some of that value. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Engaged in this.
So from one side, you enable your merchants to use stablecoin as a means of payments. From the others, you also enable direct settlements on different types of stablecoins, like the RLUSD, for example. You want to maybe share a bit more about that project?
Yeah, that's right. And I know there's different schools of thought. Some people say the future will be wallet-to-wallet direct connections, which for sure there's a lot of space for that. We, however, believe that the power of the network that we bring in terms of 150 million acceptance location, 3.8 billion cards, plugging in stable coins into this system is the best of both worlds in that sense. So think about stable coins as just another settlement currency within our network that again brings certain benefits that fiat currencies do not allow today. The XRP example is we work with Gemini, one of our most sort of prominent crypto partners in the US, and we explore with them to settle their card flows in RLUSD. So we look at, bringing this to life still in the first half of this year, and we are very excited about that.
Absolutely, and that's also
just really quickly, right? There's a partnership with Gemini and MasterCard to settle some of their card flows in RLUSD. Let that sink in. MasterCard, right? 3.8 billion cards globally, 9 trillion in transactions. What is it? 150 million merchants just told you that they are working to move forward using RLUSD to help settle transactions with Gemini. Now, you start with a pilot, you start with a test over here, right? You don't bring it out into the whole system. You got to make sure everything flows smoothly. But once you get the proof of concept going over here, and this is helping saving you time, money, you start to roll it out in other areas. And that's where we could be talking about a major shift here. We know Visa is making some power moves, so MasterCard has to match those moves. And we know both of these payment companies have won out and bid against each other on companies using Ripple's technology and of course XRP here. So where is this all going to land? Of course, we're going to keep you updated here on this channel. Let's continue with the conversation here.
extremely exciting given some of the features of the XRP ledger, right, that were designed from inception to support a lot of these cross-border transactions of digital assets and different types of stablecoins as well. So that is really exciting. I think also MasterCard has such a unique reach, right, in terms of countries and partners and merchants. And you've also recently launched the MasterCard Partners Network.
Yep.
Right? You want to maybe share a bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. As mentioned, partnerships are essential to us because there's rarely things that we do ourselves end to end, right? We work with issuers, we work with acquirers, we work with so many tech platforms and different companies in between. And for us, the Global Crypto Partnership Program is a way to basically cast a very wide net to partner with the best companies in the industry to get together advanced, safe, simple, secure payments in a very, sustainable manner.
Absolutely. We see this 100% as a strategic partnership between the XRP and MasterCard.
Yep.
And I'm truly looking forward to further develop and design more use cases, more applications, and more solutions to really serve the wider ecosystem. So thank you, Christian, for being with us and looking forward to our panel soon.
Love that. Give me more of those partnerships. Also, let's get into this. Amplify ETFs. XRP is the ultimate bridge asset. The XRP ledger requires XRP cryptocurrency for transactions, reinforcing XRP's role as both a utility token fundamental to the network activity and the investment asset with upside potential. Upside potential is what we want to highlight there. XRP on-demand liquidity, ODL, and its low cost of transforming global payments are already used by major banks, payment providers, and remittance firms worldwide. Accelerating adoption combined with network expansion and strategic partnerships is driving positive network effects and positioning XRP as a premier bridge asset in the digital financial landscape. And by the way, this is a provider of XRP ETFs putting this out under XRP key facts. This is, you see more and more of this. Anytime you have an ETF provider putting out, they're also using wording like this. And people just need to be paying attention to what these financial institutions are telling us, because they have spent millions of dollars, right? They have teams of people that do all of this due diligence and research. It's not just some random person named Crypto Sensei on YouTube, right? These are premier financial institutions telling you how important XRP is. All we got to do is pay attention to those things. All right. Now it says Ripple and XRP officially recognized as DLT tech that can support FedNow initiative. Now, FedNow, if you're not familiar, is the newest payment system here in the United States. FedWire is what moves trillions of dollars per day. FedNow is this newer payment system that's supposed to be replacing FedWire over time here. Now, this is not a cryptocurrency payment infrastructure. This was worked on for several years. Ripple was actually involved in some of the early conversations, the Faster Payments Task Force and all that stuff. Now, the Trump administration has said that they are more interested in moving forward with a blockchain-based system. This is more of a centralized system between the Fed and banks here in the United States. It's about 20 cents on average per payment, and you can connect something like XRP and DLT platforms into FedNow to process payments if you so choose to. It's going to be interesting to see if the US does move forward with its own payment system. And of course, FedNow will enable private sector real-time payments from private ledgers. Plus, IMF confirms FedNow is connected to Ripple. So, I mean, there's all of this documentation that does point to these partnerships and these real life use cases. Now, Ripple Treasury does integrate with FedNow as well through Clear Connect, connecting directly with the Federal Reserve's payment system. Ripple is waiting for their final OCC approval, and then you will actually be able to see RLUSD and XRP move within the Federal Reserve system. And that's what banks right now are trying to stop. They understand that this technology is game changing, and they would rather see it go away by the wayside instead of having it come and be a direct competition here at a large scale. But here's the internal treasury, and then here you can see XRP, sender institution, sender wallet, destination bank, and sender account. And this is kind of the steps here. Ripple deposits XRP into a customer's designated wallet. The customer retrieves and accepts a quote using RippleNet API and operations. The customer, using RippleNet and ODL technology, liquidates XRP to the destination fiat currency. The customer transfers destination fiat currency from the wallet to the local bank account, and Ripple invoices the customer for the initiated payment. Remember, when you're sending a payment globally and it's a lot of money, and if you're sending that payment out on a Friday and it doesn't get there until Monday or Tuesday, if those currencies are fluctuating, you might have to send a second payment, and you sometimes don't know how much that payment is going to cost you until you send it, right? You get a quote at the end. It's like, what the heck? Don't you want to know before you send that payment how much it's going to cost me? That is a true and real new system, and that's what we're talking about here. Ripple Treasury partnership with Dent reveals another entry for XRP into the Swift ecosystem. Every day, it seems there is more and more connections into the Swift ecosystem. They don't want to say it. They don't want to announce it. But we do know from all of the research that we have done, 2,700 videos on XRP and crypto, we have proven that there are many ways that XRP can move across the Swift system. Here is just another one, wanting to point that out to you guys. Now, XRP is designed for banks here. Smoke did post this. The new document proves that XRP is designed for bank usage. A consistent narrative is emerging for documented sources surrounding Ripple and XRP. While some believe XRP was not built for institutional use, Smoke, a prominent researcher, has challenged that narrative with documentation. He shared some excerpts of independent materials, all describing the same structure. These are not opinions. They are recorded explanations of how the system operates. Smoke does explain, and he did compile materials to present a clear position that XRP was built with banks at the center of the usage model. I thought that was interesting to show you. Ripple's business model relies on the idea that demand for XRP will increase with the price. and this is sources of XRP demand for Ripple Labs business model is predicted on a belief that the demand for XRP will increase and the resulting price will increase if the Ripple protocol becomes widely adopted. In order for there to be long-term organic demand, XRP must provide some utility to its holder. XRP provides utility by fulfilling two functions: security and a bridge currency. And just a little bit more documentation information there. And also, Smoke says, remember, there's only 1.7 billion XRP left on exchanges. He did post this on April 12th, which was just a few days ago. This is the lowest level of XRP held on exchanges in 7 years. 21 shares referred this to as a supply shock mechanism. The intersection of scale and scarcity is the primary engine for nonlinear repricing through 2026. And so it says the launch of US spot XRP ETFs has fundamentally rewritten the asset demand profile, amassing over 1.3 billion in assets and under management. In their first month, these products recorded a historic 55-day streak of consecutive inflows, breaking all the records regardless of an asset class. This sustained demand signals a shift toward a pent-up demand where capital enters a new market regardless of short-term price volatility. And it says the supply shock mechanism mirroring the GameStop revaluation that sparked on Reddit. The XRP Armory provides the unshakable social support with exchange reserves at a 7-year low of 1.7 billion. Institutional ETF demand is colliding with the community that refuses to sell. This intersection of scale and scarcity is the primary engine for a non-linear repricing throughout 2026. And of course, Swift admits that 80% of all payments and total processing time happens in the last mile. And this is where Ripple and XRP can help come in and bring that value instantaneously to wherever it needs to go globally. Ripple's direct local bank partnership and pre-existing ODL liquidity give it an edge that Swift's new framework hasn't been able to solve yet. And we'll see what Swift is able to do with Linea and Ethereum. I think regardless of whatever happens, I think Swift is going to have as many partnerships with as many blockchains as it can. I see Solana, I see XRP, and I see many more joining the network here. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you guys think. Please support the content with a like and a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Any thoughts on any of this stuff? As well as I really appreciate your time. It's always an honor to spend this time with you to go over all of this research. I hope you're getting value. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you next time. I'm Crypto Sensei. Aloha. Hey everyone, Cryptonaires is back right now. It is free to join. This is my personal community where I'm posting news and information by hour in the community to keep you up to date. If you want to take your education to the next step, this is going to be a great place for you to learn and grow. I'll leave it at the link down in the description, and I will see you there.